You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. Be sure to smash that like button. We got to welcome a new listener to AFR. I'd like to welcome Pete Thamel of Yahoo Sports for being an AFR listener. Did you see his column today? He basically lifted my show from yesterday in his column. The headline reads, "It's time for LSU to think about life after Ed Orgeron, and the Tigers AD has a reputation for chasing stars." Just a few little excerpts here from Pete Thamel's column. The program that put together perhaps the greatest offensive season in college football history 2 years ago can't even get off snaps consistently. And after clearing out coordinators on both sides of the ball in the offseason, there's no one left to blame but the head coach. Some other excerpts here. Around the college sports industry, the LSU job opening has evolved from a possibility to a near inevitability. Didn't we say change was inevitable? I'm pretty sure we used that word, didn't we? Yeah. He goes on to mention that LSU's an underdog at number 16 Kentucky, started four straight games against ranked opponents for LSU. Speaking of Scott Woodward, he mentions about how Scott Woodward thinks big and spends big. How good is the LSU job? Both Les Miles and Orgeron, the last two coaches, have won national titles there. And there aren't a lot of coaches who respect Miles or Orgeron as strategists or leaders. That's an interesting take. Maybe he was watching Whiskey and Wine on Saturday, too. LSU Athletic Director Scott Woodward has always been a star chaser. Goes on to mention how Scott Woodward's hired Chris Peterson and Jimbo Fisher, Buzz Williams, Kim Mulkey here of late. Also mentions that you should expect Scott Woodward to go after Lane Kiffin. He did throw at Penn State's James Franklin there as well. Look, he even mentioned Woodward's lopsided deal in favor of Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M has also set up a potential exit to Baton Rouge. Initial deal had no buyout money for him to leave for another job. About that as well. Let's see. What else has been written here? As for Orgeron's departure, how LSU positions itself to save on a buyout of nearly $17 million may be more interesting than watching the Tigers on the field this season. He even had the buyout amount. Look at that Thamel. He's good. He's good. He writes there are other factors swirling about Orgeron's buyout, including named in a Title IX lawsuit about allegedly mishandling a rape allegation. And he writes a starry job that's quickly dimmed under Orgeron is about to become the brightest object of an entire industry's intrigue. And Pete Thamel with a hat tip to Matt Moscona. I'm kidding. Only partly. But when columns like this pop up, it's very obvious what's happening. Pete Thamel wouldn't write this. Well, maybe Pete Thamel would because it's Pete Thamel. But generally speaking, you wouldn't see national media penning this type of stuff or having these types of conversations if the ball wasn't already rolling. This isn't plucked from the air. These are all points that I've been making for a month now. And it's not that I'm super connected or special or anything like that. It's just these are the things that we all here know and have been talking about. And the national guys are now getting hold of as well. So expect more of this. One of the things that I've probably been asked the most is, do you think that Scott Woodward would fire Ed Orgeron like if they lose to Kentucky here? I would say this. There's always a possibility. I'll put it to you that way. I mean, something new could come to light. We've seen a lot of nefarious stuff, man. I mean, we've seen Ed Orgeron with half-naked pictures in bed. We've seen him shirtless at the beach. We've seen TikTok videos of him at a camp with women go. I mean, we've seen a lot of stuff, right? The sissy blue stuff. Like, Ed is prone to these types of bad personal judgment decisions, which could reflect negatively on LSU. And at any point, something like that could leak, or there could be more Title IX stuff that could leak, that could ultimately, in conjunction with the season going the way it does, force a change. My understanding is that a change during the season is not likely. You don't really gain any advantage by making the move mid-year. You don't. The only net effect if you fire a coach midseason is agents for other coaches that are potential targets start shoring up deals with those current coaching staffs or that current employer. Does that make sense? Like, if LSU fired Ed Orgeron and it was likely that LSU was going to go after James Franklin, well, Franklin's agent should be on the horn with Penn State to get him more money and an extension while they're fourth ranked in the country and undefeated. Make sense? You're not going to make a hire during the season anyway. And like we've talked about so often with Scott Woodward, Scott is very tactful. He is a very calculated, very smart man. Scott doesn't fire a coach and then begin a search. I will give you the exact example of what just happened with Kim Mulkey. They didn't fire Nikki Fargas and then start a search that led to Kim Mulkey. LSU said nothing while rumor mills swirled about Fargas leaving for a job in the WNBA. Not a word from anyone at LSU. Then on a Saturday, on the crawl, we see that Nikki Fargas has accepted a job with the WNBA team out in Las Vegas. The next day, on Sunday, LSU announces Kim Mulkey. Timely, calculated, thoughtful, purposeful. That's how Scott Woodward works. You're not going to hear anything from Scott. Pete Thamel can write this. Matt Moscona can run his mouth every Monday after LSU loses. Everybody else can say and write everything they want to say. But Scott Woodward's not going to say a word. It's how he chooses to operate. It's very smart, and it's very much a contrast to the last athletic director, who was a dope, who came on this radio station and yelled, "I am the search," because he was a moron, and he didn't know how to keep his mouth shut or do anything tactfully. So you have someone in place who has proven throughout his career to be very good at this exact thing. Knowing who to call to get the dollars in place, how to sell premier coaches on his job and get them the resources they need, and how to finalize the deal quickly. That's what Scott does. So let him do it. My guess is, guess, we'll all be sitting here for the next 8 weeks speculating every Monday when they're going to do it. And we're not going to hear nothing. And y'all are going to throw names out at me all the time. Y'all are going to throw, somebody tweeted me earlier today, what about Mel Tucker at Michigan? It don't matter who you want. You could tweet me every name you want. You could tweet me, you can text me, you could write it on message boards or call into this show. It don't matter who you want. It don't matter. Scott's going to do what he does. He'll work. Like Pete Thamel wrote today. And it's his completely original thoughts, too. It's going to be time for it's inevitable. It is. So what I'll do is I'll spend the next 8 weeks enjoying football because we spent 8 months craving it. And so I'm just going to watch football. I'm going to really enjoy watching, hopefully, some of the young guys on this team get better and set the stage for next year for whoever the coach is, which won't be Ed Orgeron. And, whenever all this stuff happens, it'll happen. It's just the question is, do you trust Scott Woodward to put this program on solid footing? And I do. So we'll all stand and watch and wait together. But congrats to Pete Thamel. Beautiful column today. Now, if he uses the Forrest Gump analogy, I'm coming for you, Thamel. That's mine. You can't have it. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.